All right, welcome to this video on composite solids and how to find the volume of them. So we looked at this shape on page 129 and, no, I'm sorry, page 133, my mistake, page 133. And we got several ideas on how we could figure out the volume of this composite solid. Some of you were looking at the volume of each of these blocks and then counting up or figuring out how many total blocks there were. Some of you were finding the volume of this whole shape and then subtracting the volume of this empty space. All right. And some of you saw several different blocks, and if you found the volume of each of those blocks and then add them together, that would also work. So a lot of good theories on this. Okay, so that was just kind of our introduction to a composite solid, very much like a composite shape, only it's the three-dimensional version. Okay, so we looked at, real quick, how to add decimals. Okay, a really important thing is to line up the decimals. All right, make sure you're adding things with like place values. So you're adding all your tenths, all of your hundredths, all of your thousandths. All right, not necessarily in that order, but you get the idea. And all your ones and your tens and so on. Because if not, you're going to not get the right answer. And then you bring your decimal straight down. Okay, that's really important. All right, and I mentioned over here on adding and subtracting decimals, trailing zeros might be a good idea because that way you're not tempted to think, in this case, 6 is being taken away from empty space, and you would make the mistake of writing a 6. Putting that trailing zero reminds your brain that, hey, I cannot take 6 away from 0, so I've got to come over and borrow. All right? So be aware of that. Trailing zeros might help if you have empty space, because subtracting, we also want to land the decimals as well. All right, so then we looked at, on page 137, this composite solid. And we decided to break it up into two different boxes, or rectangular prisms. And what we did is we found that the volume would be 0.7 times another 0.7, because if you follow it around, this is 7/10 centimeters long, as is this right here, as is this, as is this. So 7/10 times 7/10 times 1.4. The height right here is 1.4, not 2.1, because 2.1 is this whole height here. We just want this height. All right, so we do the calculations, and we get 0.686 centimeters cubed for this volume right here. And then we noticed, hey, look at this. It has the same dimensions here on this rectangle, or rectangular prism. So it's basically 0.686 centimeters cubed. So that saves some time. If we recognize that it has the same dimensions. Now, to find the total volume of the shape, we need to add these two numbers together. Notice how we line up the decimals. And we add, we get 1 and 372,000 centimeters cubed as our final answer. All right, so decompose the shape into two shapes, or two solid figures. Find the volume of each, and then add them together. And then let you guys have some time to work on these shapes, all right? We broke into groups. So here are the answers, in case you want to try the one that you did not do, just for some extra practice. All right, there was some questions on this answer, so I did some calculations and found out the volume of this shape is 324 thousandths millimeters cubed, and the volume of this shape down here is 675 thousandths millimeters cubed. Add those together, you get 999 millimeters cubed, almost 1 full millimeter cubed, just 1/1000th off, man. Okay, anyway, moving on. Here is your assignment. You were supposed to do all of 1, A, B, C, and D, and 2 and 3 on page 141. Hey, remember to line up the decimals on these guys. And when you're subtracting, only do one thing at a time. So subtract these two first, and then to whatever you get from that, subtract this from it, all right? Addition, you can add them all up in one shot, but subtraction, it'd be better just to do one at a time, all right? But don't try to process more than one thing at a time. Right, and I would recommend you to work on it on a separate sheet of paper or find some space on this page. I know there's not a lot of extra room here, but do not crowd your brain. Right, and then number 2, remember this is empty space in here, so I would find the volume of this whole shape and then find the volume of this little air pocket that extends the whole way across. All right, it is like a tunnel. All right, and then find the volume of that and subtract it from the volume of this whole shape. All right, and then here, again, I would probably break this into 2 shapes. Whether you do that here or here, it really doesn't matter. But I'll let you work with that. Good luck, and we'll see what you come up with tomorrow. Thanks for watching.